stock, for it to be trading at its lowest point in 34 years should be a wake-up call. Some of the other economic indicators that are closely watched, I mentioned that the financial sector was down. The financial sector is described in an index known as the KBW Bank Index, and that index, which is an index of all the investment banks, all the commercial banks, etc., that index fell to its lowest point in over a decade yesterday, Jay. So again, having the financial sector lead the decline in the markets, in the financial markets, is a particularly dangerous sign of weakness in the markets.
Well, haven't we had a pretty dangerous sign here in the last 5 to 8 years of this administration? If you follow Cheney's money, isn't that a pretty good sign of where the economy is going when Cheney's investing 80% of his income in Dubai and offshore accounts and not in the dollar?
Absolutely, and maybe we can get Dick Cheney on the show after he after he retires.
Let's wait till we can interview him from prison.
That's a very good point, Jay, and I'm surprised you know it. Surprised you brought it up. Your intelligence sources are probably better than mine, but I've got many friends in the international banking community, having been an offshore money manager for years. Before moving to this area, and I can tell you that the reports I'm getting is that what you just alleged is very much the truth. That Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, and others are shifting their assets, their money managers, their private wealth managers, as they're quaintly called. They're shifting their assets abroad. And the reason is because the dollar has collapsed. In the 7 years since I've moved to Mendocino County, the dollar has collapsed by more than half. When I first moved here in January of 2001, I can remember telling Tim Pierce, who's the commander at the jail, but coincidentally also the chair of the retirement board, that I would go into anything that's euro-based because I looked at the U.S. dollars collapsing. At the time, the euro was trading at 82 cents versus the dollar. I can remember actually looking that up and handing him a piece of paper saying, buy Deutsche Telefon, buy foreign stocks that are denominated in euros and that pay dividends in euros. And I think he looked at me like I was a little crazy. Yesterday, the dollar closed at 157.65 versus the euro, so that's a collapse by more than half. Mm-hmm. Cheney and these guys, who certainly are insiders by any definition, are very well aware of this. They do not want to have their own personal wealth denominated in dollars, and they're shifting their wealth offshore.
And isn't one of the reasons behind the war for oil also the war for investing in the dollar as opposed to the euro, since Iraq and Iran decided actually their economy is going to be based on the euro as opposed to the dollar?
Absolutely. Oil is now trading as a dollar equivalent, with the dollar being worth less and less, almost by the day. Foreign investors are looking for dollar equivalents. Now, usually the most popular dollar equivalent historically has been gold, an ounce of gold, be it a Krugerrand or just an ingot of gold bullion.
Which is up, is 800% in the last 3 years?
That's correct. It's down from its low from the year. It was trading at better than $1,000. And I hope to have a guest on this show someday who'll talk about how gold markets are manipulated and how the price of gold is manipulated, basically at the direction of secret banking interest to support the U.S. dollar. But what we're seeing in oil is basically that oil certainly is being driven by new demand out of China and India and the rest of the developing nations, and by the tremendous growth in those nations. But moreover, the price of oil is being driven by the collapse of the dollar. The Middle East does not want to own dollars. They want to own oil. Dollars are collapsing in price.
Same with the U.S., right?
Same with the U.S.
They don't want to own dollars. They want to own oil. That's what we're doing.
Well, if a savvy investor with savvy private wealth managers like Cheney just pick up the phone and say, dude, I want to be out of dollars. I want to be in oil, or I want to be in euros, or I want to be in wheat. anything but dollars.
And don't tell anybody how much oil we buy, because SEC has no regulations on commodity ownership.
That's correct as well. We've seen a very dangerous development with not just the deregulation of the commodities markets since Wendy Graham, Phil Graham's wife, was chair of the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission back when the first George Bush was president. We've seen the deregulation of those markets, and we've seen those markets being driven also by reckless speculation and by irresponsible speculation.
So how is it that Enron got caught, but nobody else is getting caught yet?
Why did Enron get caught? They probably put too much on the record, which is what we're seeing at places like UBS now. And also at Bear Stearns. What's tripping up these guys are emails. And I think
that happens in a lot of places. I heard there was a county scare about that a while ago too.
Well, the memo should have gone out. No more memos.
Yeah. Right.
Well, how about we introduce our first guest? I'm very excited to have him. His name is Doug Henwood, and he is the publisher of the Left Business Observer. He's the man. He has been a contributing editor of The Nation for quite some time. He hosts a weekly radio show on WBIA. He has written a book called Wall Street, which is now available as a free download from his site. His most recent book, I believe, is called After the New Economy. Mr. Henwood's latest concerns, latest obsessions are his effort to define who the new ruling class is, as the gap between the very rich and the